This console generation, I think we can all agree the fact that Microsoft has kind of screwed things up. While trying to do their best with the Xbox One, they continually make giant mistakes. At first, they were trying to sell it as a giant expensive bundle that forced you to buy the Kinect. Then they ended up talking more about television during the reveal events than the games themselves. And now, unfortunately, they have a reputation as being the console that's got no games. And all of this is kind of bundled together to make them sort of an unlikable brand. But I will give credit to Microsoft. They've been doing their best to try and turn things around, buying more studios, talking more hype, and basically doing stuff to get the Xbox fans extra excited. But despite this, it seems once again they've made some giant mistakes that have angered everyone. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today I want to talk about some interesting mistakes that have been made recently by Microsoft, because I think that this situation it's sort of a little bit of confusion. Part of it is Microsoft's fault, and part of it's not. So recently we got the official reveal of the Xbox One S All Digital Edition, or what I'm calling the Xbox SAD. This is Microsoft's basically creative endeavor to try and undercut the competition. They say that basically the idea behind this is to cut cost and make the ultra budget console by removing everything that they think might not be completely necessary. And I think that on paper, this is actually a pretty genius plan that I do hope that sort of pays off. I do hope that they make their money back on this experiment. The big issue is that it's not exactly what the leaks were talking about. So initially, there have been a lot of different rumors about this machine as of a couple months ago. But what's interesting is that a lot of the leaks and stuff that have been percolating about sort of pointed to the fact that this was supposed to be a very redesigned Xbox One. Something that was going to possibly be smaller, have a better cooling sink, or maybe just super cheap as a baseline way of trying to get people invested in the Xbox ecosystem. I know a lot of people who are actually already Xbox One fans were hoping that this thing would be dirt cheap, that way they could purchase a second Xbox for a different room in their house. Or if they have a family member who's a PlayStation only gamer, perhaps they could talk them into getting this, that way they have Xbox exclusives and PlayStation 4 stuff all in one household. But the issue is, this is not a new console. This is literally just the Xbox One S 100%, except they reached inside and ripped out the disk drive. I mean, that is literally what it is. So a lot of the tech websites have actually been getting the Xbox One S All Digital Edition early as a review unit. And what's funny is that once they decided to unscrew the top, they realized that this is literally an Xbox One S with only the disk drive removed. It even has the same motherboard, which means that if you look inside, there is actually the different pieces for everything connecting to the disk drive that just doesn't exist. There's even an eject button inside the console that doesn't do anything. Now, this personally is not exactly an issue to me. It's just one of those things that kind of conveys the fact that this thing was rushed. Clearly, it was something that somebody came up with in a boardroom, and 2 months later they tried to sell it. It needed a little bit more love, a little bit more work, because I think that something that Microsoft needs to acknowledge is that a lot of Xbox gamers are big collectors. They like to try and get all the different controllers, all the different editions, and of course, all the different Xboxes. I seriously do believe that if they managed to actually rework the mechanics of this a little bit, or at least change it up aesthetically, a lot of Xbox gamers would have purchased this and maybe even kept it in the box just to have it for the collector's status. Now, the other issue is the fact that they did actually lie about this twice in their big reveal trailer. So the trailer itself is actually pretty funny. It's got a bunch of people who look very depressed, kind of just moping around the office like, hey, we had to make a new Xbox and it was really hard, except for the fact that it wasn't hard. And it's kind of funny. It's like a depression meme. Okay, that's fine. The issue is that one of the games they showed in this trailer does not exist and will never exist, which is Halo 5 with split screen. By now, I'm certain that most of you have forgotten this, but there was actually a pretty big controversy back in the day when Halo 5 was coming out because Microsoft specifically stated that it would never have a split-screen co-op because they said that it wouldn't run, that it'd be impossible to keep the game at a high frame rate while having two players simultaneously enjoying themselves. So people were understandably a little bit upset by this. I mean, one of the things that makes the Halo franchise so great in the first place, in my opinion, is the co-op. In fact, you can see I love Master Chief so much, I have the Master Chief Xbox. So the fact that they actually showed a non-existent version of the game in this trailer was weird. People actually even reached out for an official statement to say, hey, why is this in there? Are you about to actually release a patch that finally gives co-op and split screen to Halo 5? And they had to say, oops, actually that was just an editing mistake. Which is pretty funny to me because now people are extra upset because they feel like Microsoft has sort of ruined Halo from the once legendary status it had down into this little paltry freaking wannabe Call of Duty, and now they're even messing with how it looks in trailers. But the big thing that seems to be really angering people, myself included, is that the price is definitely, in my opinion, a complete flat-out deceit. So in the trailer for this new machine, they kept saying specifically one statement over and over again, which is that this will always be $50 cheaper than the Xbox One S. They keep saying that like there's some magical mathematical amount that they're trying to strive for, but here's the issue. The Xbox One S all-digital edition is $250. Almost everywhere you can buy an Xbox One S for $200. Not just Black Friday sales, almost all the time they're doing special sales of that just at Walmart, like literally I can walk into one right now and get an Xbox One S for $200, which means that your continual promise that it will always be $50 cheaper is not true. I mean, it's one of those annoying things where Microsoft officially says that the Xbox One S is $300. So since that's the official price that they never sell it at, that means that this is $50 cheaper. This, in my opinion, is a lie. They're trying to trick you. A lot of freaking clothing stores do this, which is where they'll put up giant banners and stuff in the store saying, hey, this is the 20% off sale. But the 20% off sale is always going on. It's because it actually tricks dumber people. It basically makes people go, hey, there's a great deal over there, when really it's a normal priced item. Microsoft is actually attempting to do that with their new Xbox. But I'll give credit to people, the Xbox fans are not fooled by this. People are actually upset because they wanted this thing to be as cheap as possible. I find it interesting that most of the Sony people, the Nintendo people, they're kind of just like, oh, a digital Xbox. Okay, let's go back over here and play games. Whereas the Xbox people are legitimately sad that this could have been an interesting experiment. It could have been basically a way of Microsoft finally pushing themselves in a totally different direction. I think that one of the major issues with the Xbox One this generation is that it's kind of following in the footsteps of the PlayStation 4, at least unintentionally. Every time that Microsoft manages to secure a good exclusive, a lot of times when it later on loses the exclusivity and comes to PS4, it ends up selling better. Or something will come out on PlayStation 4 first, like a big indie game. It goes super viral, and by the time it comes to Xbox, it sells like 3 copies. I think that Microsoft has unintentionally been copying the style of PlayStation. And I don't mean that in a mean way, so much as that it's just something that's been happening purely by happenstance. This seems to be the first real experiment where it seems like Microsoft was trying to do something completely on their own, completely unique, and completely in a direction nobody would have thought of. I'm just so blown away by the fact that Microsoft continually makes these tiny mistakes. It seems like this stuff would be so easy to avoid, and yet they perpetually fall into these pitfalls. You know what? I'll say this. If they manage to get the Xbox SAT edition all the way down to $150, I will buy one. I want you guys to hold me to that. I'm being dead serious. My plan is that if that thing finally gets down to what I consider the true value of it, I'm going to buy it just to see what it's like to have an all-digital console that I literally cannot put discs in. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to love the thing. I'm not going to say it'll be my new primary console, but I want to see what the all-digital future will actually be like by only playing Microsoft games digital only. Will I hate it? Will I love it? I guess we'll have to find out. But until then, we just have to worry about Microsoft finding a way to freaking sell it. But what do you guys think? Do you believe that this stuff could really be considered lies, or do you think that this is just a lot of accidental mistakes by Microsoft, just tiny errors that keep on piling up? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Hey, I have a big video that's about to come out about Warhammer Chaos Bane. It's basically like a sort of Dungeons and Dragons-y version of Diablo 3. And I want you to check it out. I'm not sure if the game's going to suck or not. I've been playing it this morning. I want to talk about it. You'll see that video in a bit. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.